everyone. In 1962, the Supreme Court ruled that praying and Bible reading in public schools is unconstitutional. How can that be? The Pledge of Allegiance was written in 1892 and was formally adopted by Congress in 1942 as the official pledge to the American flag. That great pledge, in which it states we are one nation under God, is recited over and over again at every major event in the U.S. Then why have we taken God out of schools? If we are one nation under God, then why can't students be taught that our nation was built upon a belief and a trust of our Creator? How can we take back what America has established since its very beginning? If students were allowed to pray then, certainly we would not see the crimes and devastated shootings that has been the reality of so many schools across America in recent years. As what was once a Christian nation, we must realize that Christians need to band together to make America see that when we fail to pray and teach our children to pray, we are headed into a nation of crime and devastation. The fear of God has been removed from the human heart. Because it has been eliminated, the concept that God demands us to follow His laws are gone. Because the family no longer fears God, there is no reason to treat marriage vows as sacred or bring up God-fearing children. Teen pregnancies, violent crimes, suicide, drugs, alcohol abuse are the very logical fruits of a society that has forgotten God and has set standards in a way that we are expected to live. Note in your chair, I left a handout of violent crimes, number of offenses, from an article titled God, Prayer, and Bible Removed from Public Schools. You will see by your bar graph here that after 1963, pregnancies increased 187% in the next 15 years. For younger girls ages 10 to 14, pregnancies since 1963, which is when that prayer was taken out of school, is up 553%. Before 1963, sexually transmitted diseases among students were 400 per 100,000. Since 1963, they were up 226% within the next 12 years. Before 1963, divorce rates had been declining for 15 years. After 1963, divorces increased 300% each year for the next 15 years. Since 1963, unmarried people living together is up 353%. Single-parent families are up 140%. Since 1963, single-parent families with children are up 160%. As far as education goes, we see issues here. SAT scores have been steady for many years before 1963. They rapidly declined for 18 consecutive years, even though the same test has been used since 1941. In 1974 through 75, there was an explosion of private religious schools. There were only 1,000 Christian schools in 1965, but between 1974 and 1984, they have increased to 32,000. That could have had an impact if private schools had higher SAT scores. In checking with SAT Board, it was found that indeed the SAT scores for private schools were nearly 100 points higher than that of public schools. In fact, the scores were at one point where the public schools had been before their decline in 1963, again, when prayer was taken out of school. When prayer and Bible reading instructions were removed from school, education definitely took a hit. One of the nation's top academic scholars, 3 times as many come from private religious schools, and they operate on 1/3 of the funds as do public schools. Since 1963, violent crimes has increased 544%. Illegal drugs has become an enormous and uncontrollable problem. The nation's estimated 30 million legal abortions just since 1973. We've also seen an increase in violent school shootings. Since the 2012 school shooting in Newtown, Connecticut, there have been at least 90 school shootings in the U.S., and an amazing 53 of those students have been in 2014 alone. As a First Amendment right, some schools still ignore a student's freedom of speech. That freedom of speech should include the right to pray and acknowledge God on which our country was founded. Perhaps then we could see a changed nation which includes happier homes and a safe place to live. Thank you.